all the games I used to play in my younger, wilder days. The game of clubs and tees, it never crossed my mind. But after some discussion with my closest, dearest friends, I decided that I'd give it one good try.
Welcome into another episode of the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. My name is Andrew Putters. I'm with my partner in crime, Joe Nicely. And the music you heard coming in was my buddy Daryl Van Zett from Nashville, Tennessee. If you like what you hear, subscribe to his music on Spotify. He's on Apple Music or iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to your music. Find him, Daryl Van Zett. He's got tons of music out there. And as always, the Turn is brought to you by Rotoballer.com. Rotoballer.com's got all of your fantasy needs. And tell us a little bit what you got going on over there, Joe.
Yeah, man. Had a huge U.S. Open week. Had a ton of visitors to the site, so we definitely appreciate you guys. Got both free and premium content over there. I do a Core 4 article, which was awesome this past week for the U.S. Open. Spencer and Josh both did great work. Josh did amazing on the course breakdown. It's a premium article over there. You can use promo code NICE, N-I-C-E, to get a discount. So go check it out.
There you go. So what did you get into this past weekend, Joe? We had a big weekend. U.S. Open, NFL, college football kind of getting going. Real college football starts next weekend, but we won't talk about that. But, yeah, we got a lot of things going on, family stuff. Did you play any golf this past weekend, Joe?
I did, man. Got a chance to play Sunday morning, kind of our regular time, the Maples group over at the Brook. Had a couple buddies don't get to play with very often, Brian Ray and Brian Gaddis, and Gaddis' dad, Mike. And me and Mape, we had a fun little outing. It was a beautiful, beautiful weekend here in East Tennessee, and really enjoyed the weather and getting to see those guys that don't get to play with very often. So really enjoyed that, man, and watched football Sunday, the U.S. Open Sunday. So, yeah, man, it was a really, really cool sports week. What about you? I know we got a lot of stuff coming up this week. What did you get into over the weekend?
Well, it was more of I really didn't get into much sports-wise. So, I didn't really get to watch much of the U.S. Open, unfortunately. And I did not get to watch much football because, like you said, we got a lot going on this week. In about 6 hours from now, we'll be headed to the hospital to deliver baby number 4, hopefully inducing in the morning. So if you're listening to this podcast, I got the 4th kid already. Yeah, so we had to hit the soccer field up tonight. My wife's 40 weeks pregnant, walling around in there. And, she's in all kinds of pain, but she's a true wants to be supportive of her kids. So she went to the soccer game, dropped the kids off at grandparents. We got a pizza in the oven right now, recording this show. So, yeah, just pretty much cleaned the garage out, mowed the yard, cleaned out the cars, washed it, getting ready. So there's not going to be any foreseeable golf in the foreseeable future for Andrew Putters. I can guarantee you that.
We're doing it, baby. We're fighting a good fight. We're getting prepped.
That still doesn't mean I'm scared of this little punk Peyton Booker and Cupcake Buckner. I am not scared of them whatsoever. I'll still take them to the cleaners whenever I get an opportunity. Trust me.
That's right. That's right. Once we get the baby settled, we'll deal with them. Deal with those babies.
That's right. So now we got all that local talk out of the way. U.S. Open. So let's first talk about the U.S. Open itself, the course itself. What was your thoughts on watching it? I know you watched it more than I did. I did watch a little bit more on Thursday and Friday, but what was your thoughts on the course overall? First week.
Well, it's Winged Foot, man. It's a legendary course. We expected it to play really, really tough, which in a lot of ways it did. The guys came out in the first round Thursday. The course played extremely easy for Winged Foot. Saw several under par scores. I think 20 or 21 guys went under par Thursday. Then the course kind of ramped itself up as the week went on, which we expected. They kind of ratcheted it up. I don't know. We saw Bryson DeChambeau win, which I was very wrong about, just to get that out of the way. I did not like Bryson at all. And the reason I didn't like Bryson was because I was concerned about him missing fairways. I was concerned about him being able to scramble on this course. And the interesting thing is, it turned out that missing fairways was something everybody was doing. Even some of the most accurate guys in the field, were missing a ton of fairways. So it turned out that missing fairways wasn't that penal. And in Bryson's case specifically, he was missing fairways, but way past everybody else. So he had a wedge in his hand. So I think that Winged Foot is a great golf course. I think it should still be in the schedule. It's one of the best we have in this country. But I think we learned a little bit that by lengthening these courses and making the fairways extremely narrow with rough, we're kind of actually playing into the Bombers' hands a little bit, because if everyone's going to miss fairways, obviously the Bombers are going to have an advantage because they're going to be further down. A guy like Webb Simpson, a guy like Brendan Todd, these guys miss fairways at roughly the same clip. And, they've got 5-iron, 6-iron in, whereas a guy like Bryson or Matthew Wolf, they miss and they've got wedge in. So obviously it's a discussion that's going to continue as far as the distance goes. Bryson was the only player that shot under par, so the course was by no means a pushover. But it's something that these guys setting up the golf courses are going to have to take into consideration with this huge leap that we have in distance. So that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I was surprised in a lot of ways. We got a lot of things right that we talked about last week. A lot of guys that we thought would play well played well. But I was a bit surprised that guys like Bryson, Wolf, some of these younger guys, more inexperienced guys, they seem to handle it seamlessly. That's the second major in a row. We've kind of seen that same group of guys up near the top of the board. We saw Bryson, Wolf, Cameron Champ up there at the PGA. So going forward in majors, we got to place a huge emphasis on distance. No matter how accurate these guys are, it's definitely something we're going to have to give a little bit more weight to going forward.
Absolutely. So, I've argued this for years, and then now that we have this show together, I've already mentioned it 2 or 3 times. These traditional link style golf courses, mainly the ones that Donald Ross designs, are fairly similar in their design. Long, straight, a lot of bunkers, big undulated greens, beautiful golf courses all over the country. There's no doubt in the early 1900s he was an amazing course designer. His courses have withstood the test of time. However, I'm not going to fault the Donald Ross Society, but they've come along and advocated cutting down these trees to bring the traditional course back to the way it was. And unfortunately, it has opened this huge way for these, like you said, long hitters to not have huge penalties when they miss the fairway. I understand the fairways it is somewhat intimidating when you have 100-year-old trees standing over you in the fairway. I'm sorry. And it just is. I thought that's probably, I know the score wasn't the same, but the golf course out in Northern California for the PGA brought a lot of different guys into the fold than this one did. This one, there was, I guess, Bryson seemed to have an extreme advantage with his game plan. Let's just say that, where maybe his game plan did not have that huge advantage on the PGA golf course, on the TPC out there, Hardin Park. Do you agree with that at all? That the game works?
Well, I think he had an advantage on both courses. If guys are going to miss fairways at a high rate, Matthew Wolf hit 2 fairways Saturday, Andrew, and shot 65 at Winged Foot, which is unheard of. Bryson hit the fewest amount of fairways for a U.S. Open winner, maybe ever. I can't remember the stat, but any time in recent memory, he hit 23 fairways all week and shot 6 under for the week at Winged Foot. This validates everything he's been doing. I'm not a huge fan of his personally as far as his personality, but I respect his game. Did before he went through this change and respect what he's doing now. Had some questions about it. We've seen a lot of guys mess their game up chasing distance. Jordan Spieth certainly comes to mind as a guy that still hasn't recovered from trying to gain a few more yards off the tee. Luke Donald was number one in the world, trying to get longer, and his game went to pieces. So, it was a big risk really for Bryson to do this. I mean, he was a top 25 player in the world before he did all this. Had won U.S. Amateurs, had won the Memorial, huge tournaments. So this was a huge gamble on his part, and it's paid off in spades. And I think maybe he's kind of outthought a lot of these guys when it comes to these majors. His plan was to gain distance. He thought that would help him crack the code on these major layouts, and it's working, man. It really is. They've stretched these courses out to try to take away the advantage of the long hitter when it's actually playing right into their hands. And I think Bryson saw that. So hats off to him for taking advantage and executing. Played beautifully tee to green. Not just this didn't just come down to distance. His approach game was sharp, which is what I was concerned about. Very good around the greens. Had a great putting week. So, I mean, he won this golf tournament. There's no question about it that he played better than anyone in the field. But, yeah, it's certainly kind of eye-opening to see what this style of play is able to do on some of these courses.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, his style of play along with his preparation, he has Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods like preparation to the golf course like we have never, that was only two I can think of. You hear about the prep or like playing up to the major championships or the tournaments that maybe that he wants to play up to, because he plays every week. But you can't discount what he's done. NCAA champion, U.S. Amateur champion, now U.S. Open champion. And he always plays – he seems to have played well and likes Augusta. So we have to feel like we're going to have a little bit of him there too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And if anything, there's kind of famously no real rough to contend with at Augusta. So he can definitely fire away there. That was kind of where I had an eye on him going forward, more so than this week. But yeah, man, he's just been really impressive, and it seems like he's made all these changes with these major championship venues in mind, and it's working really well for him right now.
Absolutely. So let's go to second place, Matt Wolff. We'll talk a little bit about his game. They always through three, like you said, 2 fairways on Saturday, shoots 5 under. I think it's safe to say that the guy can shoot 65 anytime he sticks the tee in the ground on any golf course, no matter what the conditions, how hard they are, how easy it is. It doesn't matter. The guy can make 10 birdies in a round. However, and I'm not saying he did not play that bad yesterday. He just he had a few very unlucky breaks. He was not sharp with the 2 or 3 shots where you're going to have it 85 to 115 yards in the middle of the fairway and has to stick it within 5 feet. He was not sharp with that part of his game. I think especially like on 13, 14, the par 5 where he laid up. And that was one of the things, he had like a 2-shot. He was down 2 to Bryson at that point. Bryson hits in the same exact spot he did. Bryson kicks in the fairway. He's able to hit 3-wood up there next to the green. Matt Wolff's hits in the rough, has to chip out. Now he's got 85 yards. He hits it a foot short of where he was aiming, and it spun back down 40 feet. That's the kind of things that's going to happen in major championships that has you winning or losing the tournament. So I don't, I'm not going to say the 75 yesterday was just a choke job, because I don't think it was at all. I think he probably played very similar to did on Saturday. It's just that things didn't go his way. But what I was about to say is that Matt Wolff can make 10 birdies on any golf course anytime he tees it up. He's just a rare talent. Consistency is never going to be his thing, though.
Yeah, totally agree, man. I think he's a great talent. It's kind of crazy to think he's still just 21 years old. I know we've talked about that on here before, and it's kind of mind-blowing. So hard to wrap your head around that, but he's played extremely well in some big spots. This was only his second major. Played great. Like you said, man, he's so explosive, especially for us that kind of view everything through this DFS lens. He's such an explosive player that, like you said, can go out and shoot low numbers on, it seems like, on any course, no matter how difficult it's playing, and kind of independent of what the rest of the field's doing. I mean, he can just go out there and drop a crazy low number. We saw it in the PGA. We saw it this week. We've seen it in regular tour events. So, yeah, man, I think that the kind of the trade-off you make when you roster Matthew Wolff or bet on Matthew Wolff is the volatility that you get with that explosiveness. He can shoot 62, 63, but he can also go out there and struggle, like we saw a little bit Sunday. I totally agree. He didn't play horrible. He didn't blow up, didn't crack, anything like that. I think it just a very, very tough golf course, and a couple of things didn't go his way. So, yeah, man, I think his future is extremely bright. I think we're going to be seeing him in contention in these majors for years to come. Much like Colin Morikawa, who's already won a major. My boy V. Hova was up there, had a great finish. Was a little off of him, not as all in as normal, but Victor Hovland played very well. So golf has an extremely bright future, man. All these young guys are great.
Yes. I mean, speaking of young guys, you got to love Xander in major championships. He's like a top 5 machine. Seemed like he's been there for 7, not in a row, but ever since the Francisco British Open, he's been around, or the Open Championship. Yeah. He's been around right around the lead, or having a shot, and he's going to break through and win one of these.
Yeah, for sure. Firmly believe that. Love Xander. Loved him last week. He's another one of those guys that we really did like and thought would play well, and he did. If we take Brooks Koepka out of the equation, he's been the best player in U.S. Opens for the last 4 years, really, barring Brooks. But Xander's just so solid in every aspect. Struggled a little bit off the tee at times, and it put him in bad spots, but still played extremely well, right there in the mix. Gave himself a chance going into Sunday. I think he was setting it even with Wolff at 5 under, so definitely had a chance to do some things. So yeah, man, really pleased with how Xander played. Louis played exceptionally well, also, who we were on. We talked about him as being one of, if not our favorite golfer there in the 7s last week, in the 7K range, and played extremely well. So really, really happy about that. And we had a lot of guys do good, just didn't have the winner.
Yeah, you're right. Speaking of young guns, let's just talk about him. Will Zalatoris. Is that how you say his name?
That's it, man.
Will Zalatoris. Will Zalatoris finished with a 71 on Sunday, put him in tie for 6 with DJ and several others, clamped the dude up to 76 overall in the world, and now he's playing this week. So let's just go ahead and get into this week. This week's tournament is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy. Come up and prop up on Thrive Fantasy this season. Thrive Fantasy is a daily sports app for player props. They've eliminated the need for do countless hours of research because they only ask you about the top-tier athletes in the respective sport. If NFL is your choice, choose 10 out of the top 20 player prop options to build your lineup. If NBA, Major League Baseball, esports, or PGA, choose 5 out of 10 for player prop options to build your lineup. Each prop has a fantasy point total associated with the over-under base or likelihood to occur. The more the points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. If PGA, which we specify in, Thrive has a new contest every day. That way you don't have to sweat it when the guys ruining your weekends by missing the cut. Thrive has awarded over $1.4 million in prizes since launching in 2008 and has a $50,000 guaranteed every NFL weekly. Use the promo code THETURN when you sign up and receive an instant 100% bonus up to $50. Download the Thrive Fantasy app at the App Store or Play Store by visiting their website, www.thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and hashtag prop up today. That's, again, the turn. Use the turn on thrivefantasy.com. Pretty good partner we got in there. Very interesting way now to look at fantasy sports. Basically a degenerate's heaven is what we would say if you love player props, which we like to talk about them. This week, I don't even know how to say it. The Colores, how do you say it?
Corrales. We'll go with Corrales.
We'll go to East Tennessee. The East Tennessee Colores Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship at Colores Golf Club in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Par 72, 76-70. Long, but that doesn't mean anything because it's going to be windy too. This event actually started in 2016 as a web.com tour event, moved to whenever they changed up the schedule around the 2018 in the PGA event. So there's only been 4 winners here, and all 4 past winners, regardless of where they played, are playing this week. Graham McDowell, Bryce Garnett, Nate Lashley, and Dominique Bazzelli, who is our boy Maple's putting machine. Dominique Bazzelli. He loves to play him even though he don't even know his first name. So, back on Will Zalatoris. Nobody knows who he is. However, the guy's the real deal. This guy right here is like – This style of player is one I see Joe like rostering every week. He turned pro in 18. He went to Wake Forest. He was an Arnold Palmer recipient, award winner, Korn Ferry Tour member this year. So, saying that, tied 6th, 71st in the world. However, he's number 1 in points on the Korn Ferry Tour. 16 events, 10 top 10s. His first victory came in July this year, which – if it hadn't have been for COVID, he wouldn't have been in the U.S. Open because since he was first in points, there was I don't know what it was, like maybe top 12, top 7 or something, got in the U.S. Open because of the way they had to do qualifying this year. So that's the only reason he got in the field. So now he finishes top 10. Does top 8 still get you in the Masters?
I don't know this year. I don't know because the Masters kind of froze. I think who they're letting in. So it might actually get him in next year's Masters.
It will. Yeah. I think top 8 gets you in next year's Masters now.
Yeah. It's all kind of weird this year with everything that's going on. With how Augusta had to handle that, but it might actually get him in the 2021 Masters.
I got you. So why are we talking about Will Zalatoris, Joe? Because all the guy has to do is finish top 6 in the U.S. Open, and he's the number 1 salary man on DraftKings this week. What's up with that?
Man, what is going on? I thought we were going to kind of be able to sneak in the back door with Will Zalatoris this week, man. Like you mentioned, I love jumping on these young guys early. And one of the reasons I like jumping on them is because usually we can get them pretty cheap. At least moderately priced, and we can usually get them without a ton of people knowing who they are. But here DraftKings went and messed things up, man, and got my guy up at the top of the board. Really love his game, man. He's going to be one to watch. He's one we just talked about Matthew Wolff there a few minutes ago, and he's in that vein. Like you said, he already has a win on the Korn Ferry Tour, 6 top 10s this season, leading the point standings over there on the KFT. Best scoring average on the KFT. Hits it a ton, averaging 314 yards off the tee this past season. So he's one of these guys that's kind of the modern prototype, right? I mean, he hits it a mile, hits his irons great. Leads the KFT in strokes gained tee to green and greens in regulation. So he's a great iron player. Putts well enough to win. So yeah, man, a lot to love about his game. I was kind of interested in him last week. I actually had him in a couple of kind of cheap GPP lineups. Super talented, man. I'll play him some this week, just because I think it'll be fun to roster him. But I sure do wish that DraftKings would have given us a little bit of time to kind of ease into him. But no, they just pop him right on top of the board. So it's surprising, but it's really hard to argue with the lack of strength in this field. It's kind of surprising. Maybe it'll keep his ownership down. We'll kind of keep an eye on that as the week progresses, what his ownership's shaping up to be. But a lot to like about the kid. Really do like him and look forward to seeing him play the next several years.
Yes, I can't wait to watch him play. Top 10 strokes gain approach, I think, this week. Maybe Tee to Green as well. So where are you starting at this week? Maybe not him. I mean, Corey Connors still has a bunch of question marks for the putting stroke. Mackenzie Hughes, former runner-up. Sam Burns looking pretty good up there. Adam Long. I'm just staying up there in the high number.
Right.
Where are you at?
Yeah, we normally will see these guys priced in the 7s and 8s on a normal week, but this feels pretty bad. If we're being honest, it's the weakest we've seen. We talked about the Safeway a couple of weeks ago being fairly watered down, and it looks like the Masters compared to this one, if we're just being honest. But, yeah, man, to answer your question up there at the top, I do like Zalatoris, so I'll have some exposure to him. Mackenzie Hughes has played solid, coming off his best season as a pro, qualified for the Tour Championship. Played absolutely great throughout the playoffs, had 3 top 15s in the FedEx playoff events. You know that I love Sam Burns. I was on him for the Safeway. I'll be going back there. I think he's got a win coming very soon. This might be the week. Burns hits it a mile off the tee, eats par 5s up, and is a great putter. Kind of like we were talking about with Zalatoris. He's kind of the modern prototype of what we're looking for in a golfer. He hits it really far, plays par 5s extremely well, and putts great. So I'll be big in on Burns this week. He's probably my favorite above 10. Then you drop down into the 9s and things already start thinning out there. What are your thoughts up at the top? Are you playing anybody at all up there? You usually kind of shy away from that range, but what are you thinking this week?
I think definitely Sam Burns. Like you said, he's gonna win soon. I'm also tempted to throw a little Mackenzie Hughes in there because he's runner-up here in the past. Like you say, he's had his best season ever. Adam Long, streaky. Who knows? I'll be honest. I'm probably going to start my lineup with a vet. The guy that nobody ever talks about, Charles Howell III. I think he's nice 700. Does that sound right? Maybe.
You like to play him. He's one of your guys.
I do not like him at 9,700 ever. But, I mean, I've got to think that this is a field where he's going to finish 3rd place and maybe even have a chance to win or make a quadruple bogey to finish 3rd. Hits it long ways, hits it straight. Hasn't won a lot. I think what we say that since he's been on tour, since 97, he's got the most top 10s behind Tiger or something like that.
Yeah, he's made about $4 billion
Yeah.
and won like 3 times.
Exactly.
He's been grinding out for years. I mean, he's an option there. I probably won't be going there. Right below him, though, I like Denny McCarthy. He's a guy that I've rostered several times over the last few years. We don't normally want to put a ton of weight in putting in DFS, but I think this week these guys are going to have to make a ton of birdies. So I'm a little bit more interested in putting than normal. And Denny McCarthy's led the PGA Tour in strokes gained putting the last 2 years. Has also played well on this course. He's teed it up in this event the last 2 years and done well. So really interested in Denny McCarthy. We got Stenson there. We know he's probably the class of the field as far as name recognition and accomplishments. But his game hasn't been great. He hadn't played much. We're always interested in him because, he's such a sharp ball striker, but he's one of those guys you can kind of give or take this week. You drop down there in the lower 9s. There's some guys that are interesting underneath McCarthy and Stenson. Got Christopher Ventura, a young man who went to Oklahoma State. around the same time as Wolf and Hovland. He's starting to kind of make his presence known. Had a really nice tournament at the Safeway. He's a guy you can look at. And Sepp Straka is a guy we've played a lot. Normally he's at 7. This week he's over 9. So you got to kind of get over that psychological hurdle. But Sepp Straka can go out there and put some low scores up. And an interesting guy that plays mostly in Europe is Thomas Dietrich. They're out above Sepp. Had a couple of runner-ups since the restart over in Europe. And he's an interesting play. I was a little disappointed that he was priced this high. I thought that might be another guy we could maybe grab kind of under the radar down the salary scale. But DK's really on it this week, man. They really priced these guys aggressively. Is there anybody in the 9s you like besides CH3, or are you going down to the 8s?
I mean, I want to play Pat Perez just because he could probably play mediocre and finish top 15 here, but I mean, he's going to be down there in Dominican. He might be working on his suntan. So who knows really with where his mind's at. You know, you want to play Charlie Hoffman here, but golly, the guy just can't. He just doesn't seem to have it last couple of years. You know, it seemed like he really made a run at making one of the Cup teams there and a few years back and finished just short. And ever since then, I don't know if he's been injury struck, and I think I heard something about a wrist maybe. I mean, not really. I'm probably going to drop down to like Matthias Schwab, 8,800 maybe, before I see another person in there.
Yeah, Schwab's a great ball striker. Really intriguing. Another young European, really good ball striker, and right below him is another guy that we're really familiar with, who we know is a great ball striker, in Luke List. He kind of jumps out there in this field at that price. We know that he can't putt, which is kind of concerning this week, but we do also know he's a world-class ball striker in any field, especially in this one. So got some interest in the list. Adam Shank's a guy we've been playing. He's played well in this tournament. He's teed it up twice, made the cut both times. Really good off the tee. So he should be able to attack these par 5s. And kind of a crazy name that I, for some reason, keep getting drawn to is Zhenjun Zhang there. I don't know if I said that right, but I think I did. They're at 8,400. Won the points title on the Korn Ferry Tour a couple of years ago and had a really good swing season last fall. Had a T5 in this event a couple of years ago, and he's really volatile, really hit or miss, but when he does make the cut, it seems like it's a top 15. So interested in him.
Well, what if we drop down a little bit to, well, like Patrick Rogers? What do you think about that? Or
yeah, you know I'm a Patrick Rogers guy. We only want to play him on certain types of layouts, but this is one of those layouts. Sorry, he can bomb it off the tee. Great on par 5s and a good putter. So this is a Patrick Rogers layout for me for sure.
yeah, you know, former champion there, Garnett and Graham McDowell right in there in the high 7s. I don't really know much about Garnett. The problem I would have with McDowell is just that he has not done anything in a while. But places that he plays well at all the time.
Yeah, I mean he's a veteran. So you know we know he kind of knows the ropes. He kind of knows the way things go. I think he really made a concerted effort to be in form last year around this time. He was trying to get in the Open, which was at his home course at Portrush. So I don't know if you remember, but he started playing some really good golf trying to qualify for that. And he won here and then had a good week at the Canadian Open and actually got in. So it was great to see. And he's kind of chilled out since then. I don't know if it's just more of a relaxed mindset. He kind of accomplished what he wanted to accomplish with that. So we hadn't seen much from him lately. But, yeah, it gets pretty thin down here in the 7s. Rob Oppenheim is a guy that I was looking at who's had some good finishes recently that you could maybe go to there. James Hahn played pretty well at the Safeway. He's been injured. We haven't seen him hardly any lately. And then we just got some guys that we know have upside but are really, really inconsistent, like Keith Mitchell, Will Gordon, a couple names that jump out as guys that can go low, which they'll have to do this week. But there's not much there, man, honestly. It's really one of those weeks. We talked about it a couple weeks ago at the Safeway. It just feels really volatile. It's one of those weeks where you might just want to make multiple GPP lineups, maybe smaller entry fees, and kind of fire at it that way and kind of take that angle versus tying up a lot of money in cash games or higher dollar entry fees because you do feel like this field is going to have a lot of volatility to it. Working down, is there anybody that you're seeing that you're interested in there? Low sevens, high sixes, or anything?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about a couple guys in the seventh, or I want to talk about one guy in particular in the seventh. So we have talked up Will Gordon like he's the next coming, this year. And he obviously had the top three or whatever it was, or the second place, wherever it was at the Travelers. And it's really disappointed every time we put his name out there. But when you line him up on paper, I mean, this guy looks like this golf course would be perfect for him. He bombs it. He's a streaky putter. Got all the talent in the world. He's a big guy. Are we at the point where we're just going to be like all in or not again? You have to show me something, or I mean, what are you thinking
On Gordon?
on Gordon this week? Yeah.
Yeah, I like his chances, man. Kind of underperformed there since the Travelers. We touched on a couple weeks ago at the Safeway that we really do feel like he has the makings to be a great player. Has all the tools you need. We're kind of familiar with him. He went to college at Vanderbilt, which is here in our area in Nashville. So we're obviously pulling for him. Feel like he has the game to do well. But he has kind of underperformed. But yeah, man, this course, just like Keith Mitchell there with him, man, these guys that are really explosive players that are long off the tee, that can attack these par fives. I mean, guys like that, which I think Mitchell had a runner up here before. So I think Gordon and Mitchell are two guys that, although you're risking maybe even a missed cut with them, you've also got top five upside there in the mid sevens.
Yeah. Gordon just is. I mean, I feel like we should be seeing more out of him already. But I mean, it's a hard game, so can't be saying that. Dropping down below in the low sevens and lower. I mean, I'm having trouble looking at anybody with a straight face. Just to be honest with you, I'll just talk about a local guy here who you never know when he's going to pop up and play well, and that's Pete Malnati. He's won in the fall swing before. He's a pretty good iron player and a great putter. Got a great short game. I used to be able to say this guy's name. Afa Barnrat from Thailand.
Barnrat.
Hits it a long ways and puts it really good. Hits it a long ways and puts it a little good. He's about 5'5", 280 pounds.
Hitting vapes, driving Lambos.
Yeah, I mean,
playing in the Corrales Puntacana. Man, I don't know. It looked like he was making a run there a couple of years ago. It looked like he was going to turn into a thing, but not heard much from him. I'm not really sure what the story is with him. Obviously, he's a fan favorite. People love him, love his personality and stuff. But he's also shown that he can be a really good player. He's streaky, relies a lot on the putter. So I think he's kind of going to go as far as his putter takes him. That's been my takeaway from kind of when I was evaluating him a couple of years ago, that he kind of lives and dies by the putter. So he'll need to get that going this week, but he's down there, in the affordable range. And we spent a lot of time talking about young guys this week. I wanted to bring up another name there at 6,900. He's 18 or 19, Akshay Bhatia. Just turned pro recently. He's had several sponsors exemptions, hadn't made a cut. but played really, really well at the Safeway. He's a big, tall, lanky lefty. Beautiful swing. Has all the talent in the world. So he might have some confidence coming off a good performance at the Safeway. Super cheap in this field. So if you're throwing darts, he's a kid you might want to look at, just because he does seem to have all the upside you would want. Just still trying to find his way a little bit. He's on a sponsor's exemption again this week. So that's a player that you might want to look at. There's Akshay Bhatia at 6,900.
My man Joe is on top of it with the name I've never.
I'm on these names tonight, baby. Jin Jun Jang, Akshay Bhatia, Affy Barn Rat. We got it going.
Absolutely. So I think we've covered everything we can cover tonight. You have listened to the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast brought to you by Rotoballer. Go hit up all their free stuff. Check it out. If you like what you see, sign up. Use the promo code NICE, and you can get a percentage off until the Masters. They support us really well. We love them, Rotoballer. Also, look at Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy. Give them a shot. Masters of the Prop Up. Hashtag Prop Up. Use promo code The Turn there. You listen to the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. You're going to go up my man Daryl Van Zant. Joe, we'll see you next week, buddy.
All right, man. See you.
Big mistake. I've already hit 3